Welcome to Magic Circles in the Sky and today's episode. But before we begin, I'd like to give thanks to all the people that have liked, shared, and subscribed. This is very much appreciated. Now, for today's episode, The Water of Life is a fairy tale by the Brother Grimes, which I've renamed as A Genuine Legacy Prevails. The structure will remain the same, starting off with a summary where I'll digress in a few highlighted sentences, give a reflection and my pearl of wisdom. Then we'll move on to my critical review on how I see this fairy tale plays in today's society and the parallels which will be given in a film that talks about similar themes that's in the fairy tale. And then we'll move on to my trigger points and finally my quote at the end. So let's begin with The Water of Life, or as I've renamed it, A Genuine Legacy Prevails. A Genuine Legacy Prevails is a fairy tale by the Brother Grimes about a sick king and his three sons who seek a cure for their father's illness. In the story, an old man tells the brothers about the water of life, which can heal their father. The eldest and the second sons set out to find it, but their arrogance leads them to be trapped by a dwarf. I digress. It is clear a competition prevails between the two brothers. The youngest son, who is humble, is given an iron wand and 2 loaves of bread by the dwarf, who instructs him on how to find the water of life. I digress. The dwarf is intrigued by the humility of the youngest son because his heart is pure. Reflection, humility. The youngest prince demonstrates humility in his interactions with others, including the dwarf and the kings he helps. In contrast, his older brothers are haughty and dismissive, leading to their downfall. This fairy tale teaches us the value of treating others with respect and humility, regardless of their appearance or status. Pearls of wisdom. Humility gives us the ability to step into the people's shoes and experience their struggles without judgment, but with compassion and understanding. Following the dwarf's guidance, the youngest prince enters an enchanted castle, frees a beautiful princess, and finds the water of life. He also obtains a magical sword and loaf of bread that can feed and protect entire kingdoms. I digress. The prince has courage and has morals too. On his way home, the prince saves 3 kingdoms from war and famine with the magical items. I digress. He's a protective humanitarian with heart. His elder brothers, jealous of his success, steal the water of life and replace it with salt water, causing their father's condition to worsen. I digress, of course. They were never interested in saving their father's life, more so about boosting their egos. Reflection, the power of kindness. The youngest prince acts of kindness both to the dwarf and the 3 kingdoms he saves are rewarded in various ways throughout the story. He is given the tools to succeed in his quest, form alliances with powerful kings, and eventually marries the princess and inherits the kingdom. The tale emphasizes the impact of kindness and selflessness, which can not only benefit others, but also bring about positive outcomes for those who practice them. Pearls of wisdom, kindness and selflessness are like the transformative seeds of life, which gives us the ability to reframe human nature. The elder brothers accuse the youngest of attempting to poison their father and present the stolen water of life as their own. I digress. They decide to project their negative self onto the youngest prince. The king recovers, and the youngest son is sentenced to be secretly killed by the king's huntsman. I digress. Unfortunately, the innocent ones usually reap the consequences of the evil. The huntsman, however, cannot bring himself to do it, and the prince is allowed to live. I digress. The huntsman intuitively knows the young prince is innocent. Reflection, consequences of greed. The two elder brothers are driven by their desire for power and wealth, causing them to betray their youngest brother. Their greed ultimately leads to their exile and failure to achieve their goals. The story serves as a warning against the destructive nature of greed and the importance of maintaining integrity in the pursuit of one's desires. Pearls of wisdom. Most people have become a slave to material possession of what we can see, feel, and touch, as opposed to the unseen forces of eternity. The princess, the princess the prince had saved creates a golden road to her palace, stating that the one who rides directly on it is her true savior. The elder brothers try to claim the princess, avoid riding on the golden road, and are rejected. I digress. The cowardness of the two brothers would never do anything to demonstrate real sincerity for anyone else except for themselves. The youngest prince, focused on his love for the princess, rides straight on the road and is accepted as her true savior. I digress. The princess recognizes the purity of his heart. That's why she set those conditions. They marry, and the prince is reunited with his father, who forgives him. The prince reveals his brother's betrayal, but they have already fled the kingdom, never to return. I digress. Cowards always hide. Reflection, forgiveness, and redemption. The king's initial judgment of his youngest son was harsh, but upon learning the truth, he forgives him and welcomes him back into his kingdom. This aspect of the story highlights the importance of forgiveness and the possibility of redemption, even when one has been wronged or misunderstood. Pearls of wisdom. Forgiveness is the diamond to life's restoration, to the most important relationship apart from God, which is ourselves. So that's the story, which I thought it's really fitting in a way, because there are so many parallels, I believe, to this story in society, especially through big families where there's inheritance and all types of legacies. Anyway, my critical review on this fairy tale plays in and how it plays in today's society. This is an enriching fairy tale that portrays the frailty of human beings within the family circle, revealing although blood scientifically is thicker than water, our family members are only human. The blood ties of our relatives enslave us to this idea that we have to follow the standards we hold towards each other are superior to those in society. I believe this puts enormous pressure on us to exhibit a level of commitment we don't always naturally possess for those within our family unit. There are many examples which I have cast a wide net of betrayal from my immediate family, let alone extended and ancestry. Unrealistic expectations versus authentic connection. Family and religious groups often uphold ideals ideals of unity, loyalty, sacrifice, perfection, but these are rarely grounded in emotional safety or mutual understanding. When individuals don't feel loved, seen, or safe, but are expected to perform loyalty, it creates pressure and suppression. The two brothers' jealousy is the poison of life in this story, and and it often comes from a feeling of inadequacy. The younger brother's pure heart triggers his brothers to to goad him, to goad them into evil intentions towards the young prince in order to appear superior. Very often, we become triggered in a negative way by a family member or someone in our community who reflects back to us or to the brothers their shadow side, the side that we want to keep hidden because we're ashamed of. This often happens when loyalty is superficially exchanged because of religion, but sincerity, love is missing. I have experienced personal betrayal within my own family where loyalty, love was expected, even though no real sincere feelings existed. Therefore, any acts of jealousy or betrayal that was met with a form of shame was put on them by society, not because they felt any deep feeling of genuine wrongdoing. The shame was coming from what was happening, how society judged them, not from what the wrongdoing of what they actually did. My father wanted me to forgive him, which I did. However, I realized I was doing this to free myself, not him. As I had already released my family from deep generational curses and karma due to witchcraft, etc. However, after decades of not speaking or seeing each other and childhood abandonment, he couldn't ask for my forgiveness. I guess he doesn't feel it's necessary. Hurt ego, my hurt ego, holds us back from deep, genuine healing. And this is what I realized so I could finally heal from what happened with my father. The father in the fairy tale is able to forgive his son only after realizing he had judged his son too harshly and that the fault lay with his two elder sons. It must have been very disappointing because there must have been a lot of pride and ego there. I have two sons that didn't give a damn about me, but my youngest son did. Hurt two elder sons. These are the ones that should have known better. The irony. So, as you can see, this fairy tale really parallels beautifully with what happens in today's society and is still happening, really. There's a TV series, I think, a TV series or at least a saga of films by Tyler Perry, and it's called The Family That Prays, Redemption and Ruin. And it's a film that was from 2025. And I just want to talk about this bit because it really connects with this fairy tale. It's a gripping continuation of the beloved family drama Redemption and Ruin, brings us back to the intertwined lives of the prey family. Yes, well, prey is like to be like a hunter, really. So it's interesting that the family is called prey because you can imagine that they're probably preying on each other to see who they could devour next and destroy so they can get the legacy. Where secrets, betrayal, and redemption collide. After years of separation, the preys are forced to confront their past decisions, now with their children playing pivotal roles in the family future. You probably know this probably has a lot to do with money and assets. The struggle between the personal desires and familial loyalty intensifies, pushing the characters to their breaking points. Yes. And unfortunately, the children are the ones that have to be, that are used to mend the fences, because the parents and the older generation are not going to do it. The film touches on themes of forgiveness and personal growth and the power of choice. Tyler Perry expertly navigates complex family dynamics, giving each character a chance for redemption or facing the consequences of their action. Yes, this is really tricky. Redemption. And there's if you have a big ego, or if you feel that you have been hurt and you have not received the understanding, compassion, recognition for your pain, it's really, really difficult to bow to redemption. But it is a necessity, people. Let's see, character chance to redemption or facing consequences, with a mix of heartfelt moments and shocking twists. Redemption and ruin will have you on the edge of your seat. I can imagine. Could it be a lot of family units consist of people who have deep karmic connections to us, whether good virtues or bad wounds, which need to be healed, and in part project those negative actions that sometimes generationally extend far back into our family lineage. They are stuffed with unresolved situations which need to be addressed currently. And maybe this is why we carry out vengeful acts, because we feel that there's going to be no justice. So we want to be the justice. We want to get justice for ourselves. But God has a plan for us, and it's called poetic justice. But a lot of times, wounded, unhealed people can't wait for that. And I think in this type of TV saga, series, film, it's the children that end up paying the consequences for their parents' actions. Currently, and maybe this is why we carry the vengeful axe. For example, our next of kin doesn't understand or even remember in this present existence. Yes, they've maybe committed some kind of karma, and they don't understand that the karma they committed was in the past life, but they don't recognize the person that they injured in the past life and have to restore and deal with the situation in this existence. Therefore, we are stunned by actions such as my father, who simply feels I owe him my forgiveness, whereas he doesn't owe me anything. And if you are Christian, you'd say that the debt has been paid with Jesus going to the cross. Either way, even if my father, didn't ask for my forgiveness, but I forgived him, but he didn't ask for my forgiveness, simply because I'm a believer of Jesus Christ, and Jesus paid for all of our sins on the cross. I should let it go. In theory, I should let it go. And I have been learning to let it go, quite humbly so. It hasn't been easy, though. The performances in this family saga are stellar, and particularly by the returning cast, who bring a deep sense of emotional weight to their roles. Life experience, I wouldn't be surprised. While the film doesn't shy away from dramatic flair, it also offers a genuine portrayal of the struggles family face when trying to heal old wounds. A must watch for fans of powerful family sagas and Tyler Perry's signature storytelling. These old wounds have to heal before you can start a new relationship or not. It's true. I mean, you may not even want to continue a relationship with that person. You just say the wounds are healed and, let's move on. And sometimes you do want to start a new relationship. If you do want to start a new relationship from scratch, then it's imperative that you heal. And even if you don't want to, carrying around that kind of toxic energy and pain is no good for anybody. Now, let's talk about the trigger points. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about my mother. I don't know what happened really in her past life, and I do believe in past lives, but I know that the state of acceptance of grace, my mother's demons, childhood neglect by her mother and stepfather. Now, I don't know what happened in their past lives, but all I know is that my mother was desperately disappointed and upset, really, really hurt by my grandmother, her mother, who chose to take some kind of favoritism. She liked her brother and sister, the twins, more than apparently she liked Joyce, my mother. But I don't think that's quite the case. I think she was controlled by my grandfather, my step-grandfather. She was controlled by him, and he basically said, don't buy her any clothes, don't really look after her. So she was really neglected. And during this, with low self-esteem, I think she developed a personality disorder, which is narcissism. And along that, I think my mother saw me. I was I think I might have been a golden child. I think my sister was the first golden child. But then when I came along, I seemed like the perfect fit for my mother, being a narcissist that she was. And she saw me as a perfect person. But at the same time, I reflected who she was back to her. And therefore, she saw me also as her enemy. I was the perfect person to live through. She used me as a vessel so she could live her life through me because I was what she wanted to be perfectly in her eyes. But at the same time, I think she hated me. It's a bit of a strong word, but she saw me as an enemy number one. And I really wasn't her favorite as suggested. Can you imagine, having a child that you consider your golden child, but at the same time, you're living through them. You're trying to live through them vicariously. And at the same time, they keep reflecting back who you are to you. And you keep seeing the negative side of who you are. It must have been very confusing for her. The golden child and the family significance. My mother living, as I said, my mother living through me. And the reason why narcissists choose to live through one or two of their children or live through other people is because they haven't been able to grow or develop a personality and to be themselves. I think there's in some ways, there's a deep shame inside of them. I don't know why it is, but I think because my mother experienced such neglect and rejection from her stepfather, and her father wasn't present, he was absent, it just really messed her up. And she never really developed as a real person. In fact, when I was very, very young, she used to say to me, well, I was about 18, one day she literally cried out when she said this. She goes, Melody, you have personality. Which she was there really telling me. She goes, I don't have a personality, but you do. And in order for her to feel a sense of being alive, she had to live through me. And on that note, as much as I really, really didn't like what she did, I don't hate her. I just now can honestly say I just feel really sorry that she felt that she didn't have anything to offer as an authentic human being. So she sought me to live through and anybody else that she could possibly live through. So that's today's episode. A Genuine Legacy Prevails, which is what I named. And we're going to end with my quote. Healing is a lifelong lesson, blessing and gift we give ourselves, mind, body, and soul. Healing is a lifelong lesson, blessing and gift we give ourselves, mind, body, and soul. Goodbye.